Hey there, everyone. Welcome to our Zoom call Fiesta as ESPN gets ready to re-air the 2003 Fiesta Bowl, the national championship game between the Miami Hurricanes and the Ohio State Buckeyes. I've got a couple of players that were on the field that fateful, chilly night in the desert. We've got former Buckeye Kenny Peterson, defensive lineman, joining us, Mike Doss, Buckeye safety, and Jonathan Vilma, linebacker for the U, here to chat about that epic game, one of the all-time thrillers in college football. I know Kenny and Mike and all the Buckeye fans can't wait to relive that night. For myself as a former Hurricane, and Jonathan, it's going to be a tough one to watch, isn't it, bud?
I'm ready.
Make sure that's strong.
I'm ready.
Whatever you got in that cup, make sure it's strong. Guys, we're going to get, of course, to everything that went down during that game, all the back and forth action, of course, the ending. And before we get into all that, though, let's kind of start leading up to this game because, Jonathan, that was one of the all-time great teams for the University of Miami. They'd won 34 straight. They were the defending national champs. Kenny, Mike, the Buckeyes came in undefeated, but some close calls throughout the season. You guys were definitely the underdogs going into that game. So I want to get everyone's perspective of leading up to the national championship game, kind of what the team's mindset was. And Kenny, I'll start with you. Give me a little sense of the Buckeyes going into the desert to play the Hurricanes, you know, the defending champs that had all this hype surrounding them. What was your guys' mentality going into that game?
Our mentality was kind of what we had all year, is that our fate was in our own hands. But going into that game, being number one in the country, and being an underdog, I was like, wait a minute, that's the ultimate disrespect. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they had we talk about bulletin board material, and they had a flyer already made up, where they were popping bottles and everything about, the after game celebration and all that kind of stuff. So we had a point to prove going out there.
Yeah, we caught wind of that. As we caught wind of this flyer, we kind of got the break during bowl practice, and this was kind of when it was a 45-day break. So from our last game into the Fiesta Bowl, it was 45 days. So some players got a chance to go home. And one of our guys who went to Dillard High School down in Florida, he came back, and we were catching the plane the day before Christmas to fly out to Arizona, and he hands me the flyer. And he's like, yo, Mike, man, they already got this flyer circulating around, back-to-back national championship party. And I just was like, I got on the plane, and I just literally started walking around to every player, showing them this flyer, say, hey, look, they talking about partying, back on January 4th when they get back in town. But we plan on partying January 3rd. And that kind of gave us some momentum, lit a fire under us during bowl practice, and just to really focus, on the moment. And all season, we had played some close games, some tight wins. Our mindset was, if our defense held teams to 13 points and our offense would score, 24, we had a great formula to win football games. And we had, we worked through a lot of situations where we had to come from behind.
Well, Jonathan, is there any truth to that?
Well, there's some truth to it. To address that flyer, I mean, it's Miami. Like, of course we're gonna party, So,
and of course we're gonna win. So we gotta plan the party.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we do in Miami. We put the flyers out, get ready to party, have a little fun. But it was interesting. The you never underestimate your opponent, right? When they have now that fuel, and that it's interesting hearing you guys say that you had the fuel now. And we gave you the gas for that fire. But, for us, we felt like it was going to be business as usual. And, Mike Dawes, mentioned rolling out. We just rolled out, showed up and thought it was a formality that they were showing up with us. And, in some respects, that is true. And we looked at Ohio State's team, and I'm talking from the defensive perspective, and said, look, they have one guy that can beat us. That was Claret. We said, if Claret doesn't get going, then they have no shot. That's the way we thought defensively, right? And we never anticipated that Ohio State's defense was going to show up and be as good as they did and perform as well as they did.
Hey
Willis,
John.
thanks for joining us, buddy. Hey, Willis. Hey.
Oh, yeah?
He's here.
Oh, there he is. Hey, everybody.
we felt like we handled our business, and they Kenny and Mike talked about their formula for success all season. Well, our formula for success for those 34 games was, look, you play good defense, and at some point in one quarter, it didn't have to be the first or the fourth, at some point in the game, our offense was going to give us 17 points in a quarter, 21 points in a quarter. So we always felt like, all right, look, we handle our business. We do what we're supposed to do. And then at some point in the game, our offense will blow it out. And, you talk about Andre Johnson, Willis McGahee, Kellen Winslow at the time.
Kellen Winslow, right.
Right. It for us, that was an expectation that we're going to get, 30-some points a game from our offense. And it wasn't – we're not bragging. Like, that's just the talent that we had, and that's what they had shown all year long, and really more than just all year long. We're taking it all the way back to, my freshman year. After we lost to Washington, we didn't lose any games after that. So, that was the mentality for us where, hey, look, it didn't matter. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, just handle our business, stop correct. We do that. Our offense is going to – at some point, they're going to take over. And you got to give credit to Ohio State, man. They just didn't. They didn't allow it.
Willis, thanks for jumping in here, man. It's so good to see your face, and can't wait to chat with you here as we relive this 2003 national championship game. I'm kind of curious your perspective. The guys were just talking about the mentality going into that game, and Vilma was mentioning how the defense's focus was on stopping Maurice Clarett. For you guys, for the offensive side, what was the mentality going into this game? Where did you feel like you guys could have some success against the Ohio State defense?
Oh, wow. It was so long ago. I would say, our job was to go in there and move the ball. We know they had a great defense. We know they had great players on the other side of the ball, just like we had on our side of the ball. But the whole mentality was move the ball, put points on the board, and we know our defense is going to show up. I don't know what John said earlier about how the game went, how the players were, but I can't say this about Ohio State. They had players flying around, especially that number 2. That number 2 is flying around making plays.
Hey, whoa. Don't give this man credit, Willis. Look at his background. This is already bad enough. He's got his damn jersey. He's got the damn helmet. He's in red and black. Man, don't give him any credit, bro. His head is big enough.
I'm gonna cut down to the nitty-gritty. We got cheated. They all know we cheat. They cheated.
Oh, my goodness.
Y'all had y'all referees reffing the game, which is not supposed to even happen in college.
Oh, my God. Wait a minute. That referee crew was –
they were Big 12.
The referee who threw the flag was on y'all sideline, and the end zone happened on our sideline. How did that work? How does that work? You tell me.
Hey, man, that was a Big 12 crew, man.
That was a Big 12 crew, bro. So we had nothing to do with that.
Our mindset really was like, how are we in the game when we were 14-point dogs? You know what I mean? We were like, how are we in the game overall in the sense, again, I think the difference for us is our fans travel. So the only momentum that we really felt was when we came out during warm-ups, like 90 minutes before kickoff, and the 70% of the stadium was filled with Ohio State fans. Mm-hmm. So that kind of gave us some energy.
We don't care nothing about y'all fans traveling, bro. We don't need fans. We go to places and take it by storm with a little bit of crowd that we have in the corner up top. That's how we operate. We don't want to hear nothing about that. Y'all had the referees on y'all side. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
No.
Y'all cheated.
No, we didn't. No.
Simple.
All right.
Hey, but you got the ring, though. Y'all got the ring. Y'all did a great job. There's no doubt about it. But y'all know that call changed the whole aspect of the game.
And we're going to get to that call. I promise you guys. And I know that it is something that still is painful for Miami players and fans to talk about. But I want to get back to kind of like the beginning of the game and what you said, Mike, about the expectations of going into that game and how highly thought of that Miami team was. Like, at what point did you think, wait a minute now, we can play with them? Like, once you got out on the field and the game started going, because Jonathan, I was talking to you earlier, you said, like, it was a little weird. Like, things weren't going the way you expected. Things felt off. So, Mike, when did you guys kind of realize from the Ohio State side, like, hey, like, we can hang with these guys?
Well, as far as our offense went out and got a 3-and-out. I think we got a penalty first to start the game, and then we punted. And that first series, that first play on defense, I think Kenny got a sack. And I think that established to set the tone right there.
I think Will
first or second play.
I think the second place, Will came off the edge.
Will came off the edge, yeah.
And he got a pressure, and I think it was a play after that or something like that. That's when I got my first sack on Romberg.
Oh, hey.
Right. So for us, for us to set the tone up front, that allowed us to get that energy and get that juice going. And we've been a defensive team all year. So for our defense, like I said, before Willis, you jumped on, I said, your guys' mindset where you were so talented at each position that you guys was like, hey, we do what we do. They can't stop us. We got enough talent that eventually our talent is going to outperform, whoever we're playing. And when we studied the film, we had 45 days. We watched every game of y'all season, front and back. Mm-hmm. So when we started seeing formations and y'all came out and lined up, we was like, oh, they really about to run this? Here it comes. And then y'all ran it. So all of a sudden, we go back to the sideline in the second series. We like, they doing exactly what the tape shows. So trust what you see, and then just go play football. And, was no new window dressing. Vilma, there's no new window dressing, no motions, no change of personnel, switching guys up here or there. It was like, we're going to do what we do, and we're just better than you. And our style of defense, we kind of ran like some zone pressures, a little bit of man-to-man. But we really were like, they lined up, and they just ran the plays that we saw on tape. Man, we know what they're doing. And that's how we played every snap. Like, we knew what the plays were. We were calling them out.
Willis, did you feel like that? Did you feel like they knew what you guys were going to run before you ran it?
I mean, at the end of the day, our mentality was it doesn't matter. They have to stop us. Mm-hmm. We're not going to sit up and change a whole game plan or do a whole different playbook because we're playing national championship. We had the mentality where we just came from a national championship. We're going back again. It was going to be easy, but it wasn't easy. I mean, like I said, they had great players on that side of the ball. They made plays. They did what they're supposed to do. Our job was to disrupt all that, and things happen.
I mean, when you look at Miami's offense, I mean, if you go down that roster, I took a look at it. I mean, there's future Hall of Famers, Pro Bowlers throughout that entire team. So to give Willis credit as far as what he's saying, they didn't have to. I mean, think about it. They look at their entire roster. They did what they did, and they did it well. We were just prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they were prepared. They they did a great job at the end of the day. They got the rings, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can't replay the game. We're all old. We can't move how we used to move. All we can do is talk about what would have happened, things like that. But they still know they cheated, and I'm going to still put that out there throughout the whole series of today.
Okay, so the call at the end obviously was huge. So were turnovers in this game. Miami turned the ball over 5 times. Ohio State had a couple as well. But I think, to me, one of the most fascinating moments of the game was Sean Taylor getting the pick, and then Maurice Clarett chasing him down. I'm kind of curious, Vilma, let's start with you, your perspective on how that played out and what you saw on the field.
That was that play kind of was a microcosm of the whole game. When you think about going from the highs and the lows and back to what we've all been saying, we did what we did, right? So Sean Taylor had how many picks before that already, right? So it was a no-brainer. He goes and gets a pick, but then you're like, whoa, turns the ball over. That's uncharacteristic of Sean to just turn the ball over. Same thing with our offense. It was like, our offense, they're going to go out. They're going to give us 21 in the second quarter, third quarter. One of these quarters, they're going to give us 21 points. You're like, whoa, uncharacteristic. And so now that really just sums up the whole game right there where, we and that's why I said we kind of felt out of whack because it was always like, for us defensively, I was used to hearing, oh, Willis, 70-yard touchdown. Oh, Andre Johnson, deep bomb, Kellen Winslow, 50-yard bomb, whatever it is, right? And then, you get up, you get ready, play D, go 3 and out, and then, give them the ball right back, right? And essentially suffocate a team. And it wasn't like that. We were getting called up for defense because of a turnover or because of, we had to punt and things like that. And, we always were kind of on our heels in the momentum of the game, not as far as the players, because we were still playing, obviously, but in the momentum. And then, the Sean you think about it, that's what gave Ohio State the 17. It was that
Right,
3 points
right.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a field goal. Got a field goal off of that.
And that's what gave them the 17 to have us have to make the field goal to get into overtime.
Yeah, and I think for our perspective, that play was huge because in a sense, we thought we were going to score a touchdown. Like we go up 2 touchdowns, you know, like, oh, now in a sense for us, like we go up 2 touchdowns on the team, our defense is going to hold them, right? So you see Sean picks it off in the corner. I'm like, oh, man, this dude might take this thing to the house. You know, like the momentum is changing. So, and then you see 13, you see Maurice hustling, and he chases him down. And I never even noticed he took the ball until the referee actually threw the signal like Ohio State still has the ball. And I'm like, what? Like, you know, then we had obviously see the Jumbotron and see what happened. But they like, you know, he stripped the ball back. We got the ball. And then we end up getting 3 points out of that. And that definitely changed the momentum of the game because that could have easily, you know, swung in the U's favor and just really changed the complexity of how things were turning out there in that third quarter.
You know, talk about at some point it's going to break open. When you scored late in the third, did you feel like, okay, this is that breakthrough that we need? Like now our offense is moving. Did you feel like that could be maybe the momentum change you guys needed when you got that touchdown in the third?
Oh, without a doubt, because I remember right before that play, we had a timeout. You know, Coach Croker called us to the sideline, the offense, and you know, basically, he was like, "I don't know what's wrong with you guys, but you guys need to come to play. You ain't come to play." And you know, I felt like everybody was looking at me like, "All right, now you need to get going." You know, I'm already saying in my head, "Oh, this is my last game. I'm out." And then I was just like, "Come on, man, let's just go because this is gonna be a game that's gonna be remembered from here on out." And, you know, we went out there. I remember I reversed field and came back and scored a touchdown, and I told the crowd to be quiet because it wasn't over.
You definitely did do that.
I told them to be quiet because it wasn't over. We was coming, man.
Right.
I mean, and you know, I just felt like, you know, if I don't go, we don't go. That was my mentality for me as the offensive wise. If I don't go, we don't go. Even though we had Andre, we had Kellen, we had all these great guys on the offensive side of the ball. That was my mentality. If I don't go, we don't go. And I felt like, man, Willis, you need to get your stuff together, basically. And, you know, came and scored, and we started moving slowly. And then, you know, crazy stuff happens. You know, you get cheap shots when you're not looking. I'm going to throw my shots at you guys every chance I get.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, our goal coming into the game was to – and obviously try to contain Willis. We knew that if he got to a hot start, that now they can run past him anytime they want. We wanted to make you guys one-dimensional and force Ken to beat us. You know, we like if they beat us, it's because Ken Dorsey is going to throw for 300 yards. And we didn't want Willis to, you know, kill us for 250, hit us with an all Madden game or something real crazy. And I was marrying him the whole game. I was like, wherever he go, I'm going. I don't care if he don't get the ball. I'm gonna just be by Willis.
Yeah, you're a little pest. One thing I can say about Ohio State defense is they were real fast. They had a lot of fast players. They was getting to the ball quick. You know, that was a little different for me, but, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, I still had to do what I do, you know, try to make plays and whatnot, but they were moving to the ball quick. They were swarming. I give them that credit for sure. They had that going on.
So, Willis, it seemed like you were getting things going, and then obviously the fourth quarter happens, and I know one of the most horrific injuries. What do you remember about that moment in the game? And can you just kind of take us through what was going through your mind at that time?
When I got hurt?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I was sitting there. I was devastated. You know, I was asking. I remember because Dr. Ruby came out, Croker came out, Pastor Steve came out, one of the challengers, and I was like, man, why? Why me? Why this had to happen to me? And he was like, son, never ask God why. And, you know, I took it from there, even though I was crying. But still, at the end of the day, it actually made me into a better person, a better athlete from that injury. You know, I'm realizing what it takes to start over, what it takes to train by yourself, because I couldn't train with nobody else. I had to train with me and the therapist. And he became my training partner once I started running around. He'd work out with me just to keep me going. And that built my mentality to always work. You know, I don't care what the odds are. I'm gonna work and grind, and that's what I've done ever since. You know, I'll work out with John them in the summer sometimes, but normally, you know, it was always me and Coach Vic working out in the weight room, and we just, you know, it made me to who I am today, man. You know, it's a blessing actually, because who knows what I would have been if I'd have went top 2. Who knows what I've been doing, what I've been trying to put my hands into, you know what I mean? Like, so when you start from the ground and building it back all over again, it's definitely an eye changer. It definitely makes you realize, don't go this route, do it this way. Don't try to take the fast money, take the, you know, the grind, build it up.
Well, and a credit to you, Willis, for turning it into a blessing and defying all the odds and having the success you have had on and off the field. It's just an incredible testament to you and what you've been able to overcome. And I can't even imagine, like, Jonathan being a teammate and especially a guy like Willis, who is such like a heartbeat of that offense as the team. How did that change the demeanor, the emotion on the sideline when you see, you know, a guy with this much talent in the final game of his college career to have that awful of an injury? Like, how do you guys regroup and get back on the field and kind of keep fighting for him?
To be honest, you know, we don't. We saw the you know, they kept showing the replay, and you know, we're looking like, whoa, you know, what now? Basically, that was our mentality. Like, what now? And again, I'm on the defensive side, so all we can do is, you know, we're looking and saying, you know, well, at that point we've had Claret contained. You know, Claret ended up with, you know, 40 yards rushing in the game, so we were fine. But I was thinking, as far as the team, I was like, wow, where do we go? What do we do now? Because Willis had been so integral in our offense throughout the season for making plays happen. Like as Willis just said, in his head, he'd be like, all right, well, I got to make it go. And we would see, you know, that was what we would watch when we're on the sideline and we start hearing the crowd cheer or the crowd goes silent. It's like, well, there goes Willis again, you know, breaking away for another touchdown or whatever it was. So, you know, defensively, we're like, it wasn't a dirty hit, wasn't, you know, anything like that. So we couldn't even sit here and try to manufacture anger and be like, oh, we're going to go get him now because he didn't do anything dirty, you know? And so that's where we just looked and were like, oh man, like what now? What are we going to do? And, you know, clearly we didn't do enough.
No, it's always so hard. Like when you're covering games as a sideline reporter, you see these injuries and then you see the way like a team has to keep playing, and it's tough because, you know, the connection between teammates is so strong, and it's got to be so difficult then to focus on a game when something so serious like that has happened on the field. So Willis is out of the game, but you guys continue to play. We get into the fourth quarter, and I always find it interesting that Ohio State fans, like Miami fans, we all talk about the flag on the PI in overtime, but Ohio State fans, there's a call that you guys have an issue with in the fourth quarter, right? A little catch, no catch call that you say, you know, look, maybe it wouldn't have gone to overtime if that was called correctly. So I know that was on the offensive side. What do you guys remember when you were watching that play out on the sideline?
I just want to piggyback on back, you know, from Willis's injury. I mean, we were devastated because we knew how much talent he was and what he brought to the game. We, you know, obviously no one wanted anyone to get injured, you know, that night. And as far as obviously him continuing on and having a prolific NFL career, you know what I'm saying, I was still a fan. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Willis had obviously met months before, you know what I'm saying, at the All-American Watcher Camp. So like we had in all the different events, we always caught up with each other. And just to see, you know, him go down, I knew that his team was going to rally around the situation and come ready to play in that fourth quarter, which they did. And for us, you know, we looked at it like, you know, what we got to do to just really try to, you know, end this game. And it comes down to that play where you highlight is like our best Florida. He's a Florida guy, Chris Gamble. You know, gets, you know, grabbed, held. It actually catches the ball. We thought inbounds with a knee down, and the referee says, you know, no catch. And we thinking like, hey, we just gonna take a knee and run the clock out. You know, it definitely, you know, changed the momentum of the game. We end up punting, and Roscoe has a great return for those guys to the 25-yard line and gives them a chance to tie it up to take it into OT.
What do you guys remember about the time leading up to Seaver's field goal kick to tie it? Jonathan, what do you remember about those moments?
And I remember trying to understand, how did we get here? You know, when you're in the middle of the game, you don't really look up at the score, and so you kind of you know, like, you play defense, you go on the sideline, you make corrections, you tell coach what you saw, then, you know, you get ready to go back and do it all over again. So there was never really a time that I was looking at the score. You just get a feel for how the game is going. And like I said, I felt like we were on our toes, but we played well. So, I mean, on our heels, but we played well. So I'm you know, on the sideline, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to run the game back in my head. And I'm like, well, they didn't really do anything, you know? And I'm like, they didn't really do much offensively. So why are we in this position? You know, I'm looking, I'm like, how did we get to this position? And then, you know, you start to think about, okay, the big plays, like they did a great job limiting our big plays. Like, that's what we were used to, and that didn't come. And, you know, I was like, look, he makes it, great. He misses it, it's going to stink. But, you know, I never ever thought, like, well, we're actually going to lose. So I just figured, hey, he's going to make it. And, you know, if he misses it, then I don't know, something's going to happen to keep this game going. Like, we haven't lost in 34 games. Like,
right.
Never thought of losing. So I was like, something's going to happen to keep this game going. So, you know, let's go. Let's move on.
What do you guys remember on the Buckeyes sideline?
Go ahead, Kip.
No, honestly, I don't remember much about it, to be honest.
You don't remember me calling the timeout? Like,
oh,
so our coach was like, we called the timeout, and I looked up at the clock. I'm like, well, we only gonna ice him one time. We got an extra timeout. You know what I mean? So I was like, we got to, and coach, you know, so I looked over to the sideline. I called the second timeout with no authority. Nobody gave me clearance. So I called the second timeout like, we're gonna try to ice him a little bit longer. But I remember Severs, he was focused. Like, I kind of called that second time out, tried to walk by him, you know, give him that little brush off shoulder, like, you know, and he just was, you could just tell he was in the zone mentally, like he knew he wanted to make it for his teammates, and he did. You know what I mean? In the clutch moment like that, it wasn't an easy field goal, and he made it to take it to OT.
It seems like so often the team that forces overtime has the momentum going into overtime, and usually more often than not ends up winning that game. As you guys prepare for overtime, what is the feeling like on each bench for Ohio State? You know, what's that like, Kenny? Like, as you guys get ready to play more football,
honestly,
more bonus football.
And that's it. It's football. It's football. I mean, it didn't matter to me if it was, you know, the first quarter or the first or second overtime. Our mindset was just go out there and play, and make things happen. You know, just like Jonathan said, you know, we wanted to eliminate the big play because we know they had big play guys across the whole entire roster. But we wanted to limit that, and I think we did a pretty good job of that. But going into that first overtime, it wasn't. We just took it play by play.
Yeah,
Jonathan, what do you remember? Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say, we actually liked the condensed field, being able to, you know, put them on the 25-yard line and shortening the game. Like, they got to be more strategic. We can be more strategic in our play call. We can take more chances and whatnot. And, you know, it gave us an opportunity to, like, let them have to work their playbook. You know what I mean? Like, they got to work their playbook to try to, you know, get this. But then at the same time, Kellen Winslow became a monster. We didn't even highlight that. Like, he really.
Oh my gosh.
He just
was the X factor.
Oh my God. I mean,
if they would have focused on him. Sorry to cut you off, Mike. If they would have focused on him, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
I agree. I mean, if they had just went to him a lot earlier, because we didn't have an answer for him.
We didn't have an answer for him.
We went from our linebacker C. Grant trying to cover him. Then we went nickel, try to cover him with our nickel back, and then we just had no answer. Then we went to zone, hoping we could get pressure on Dorsey. But, you know, when he made that catch in the end zone, I was just like devastated. Like, oh my God, he just took over the game, and now he makes a huge play in the overtime to basically get them momentum. And at that point for us, it was like, as a defensive player, now I'm off the field. I have no input in this game anymore. I got to wait to see what my teammates do on offense and hopefully give us a chance to continue.
Yeah.
Man, Kellen was a mismatch for so many teams all year, right? I mean, he could change the course of ball games like that. So, Vilma, after they score in that first overtime offensive possession for Miami, the defense goes on the field, and you got to feel like you're right where you want to be. I mean, scare this game.
We're like, this is ball
done.
game. Yeah, we're like, this is it. Ball game done. We're good to go. And, that was the mentality. Like, we found a way to keep this game going, found a way to, take the lead finally. And that was it. Like, we're done. And, we sure as hell thought that we were done. And then, a couple of people.
So did the entire stadium for a little minute there?
All
right, guys, let's get into it. Let's get into the call, the fourth down call.
Well, before the call, can we?
Okay.
It was 4th and 14, Vilma. 4th and 14 was the play of the game. To me, that
14. Okay, so Mike, I'll give you that one. 4th and 14. Our corner should have stayed. It was supposed to be 2-man trail technique. He got a little anxious, but in his defense, he was a true freshman. So this was a big moment in the game. We got a true freshman on one of your better receivers. That happens. Now, let's fast forward to the real stuff.
I'm just saying, the game was over on 4th and 14, though.
No.
Like, the game was been over.
Clearly, the game wasn't over on 4th and 14. So now, let's talk about this. I want to know from Kenny and Mike, was it PI? Yes or no? And don't be biased. Just tell us what you saw.
Now we're talking steak and potatoes right now, y'all. Here we go.
Come on, man. Absolutely.
Bro, listen, at 100%. I mean, when you look at the call, listen. This man was held at the line of scrimmage. I mean, he was assaulted the entire way. Let's be real.
Yeah.
You disagree? You disagree?
About
you a defensive player.
Please tell me what referee threw the flag. Where was he located at?
He was the back judge.
Listen, he was a back judge. He's the one who saw the call.
He was waiting for the sideline referee to make
the back
call.
judge where? On what side of the field, though?
No, he was in the end zone.
He was in the end zone.
He was in the end zone. Look, if you look at the tape, he threw that flag from the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
So he saw
about 10 seconds too late. About 10
no,
seconds.
It was like
listen,
it was like a hard three.
It was a hard three. So he said like this. He said,
Listen.
He waited.
Oh, throw a flag.
He waited for his side judge.
Was like,
He looked at Tressel.
Willis, where were you watching the game during the overtime?
I was in the locker room. So you already know when you're looking at it on TV, game is over because
fireworks.
That
confetti.
Like the flag.
Yeah, all that.
Was fireworks that we done ran on the field and all. So I just knew we had it, and then the phantom flag comes flying out. Like
the flag was on the ground. It just
the
fireworks. You have people premature pressing buttons like they won a national championship.
Yeah,
I felt like
No,
you did not. You did not. I felt like you said at the end of the fourth quarter when the receivers was gonna go for that kick. Now, when that whole play happened, like we felt the same way. Like we felt like we were a team of destiny too, as well. You know what I mean? Like to make it there, like the way that we did, and we were just like, it comes down to this play. You know what I'm saying? For like 2.5 seconds, when I'm looking and you see the ball, incomplete pass, I just got this like dumbfounded look on my face, and it's on camera, and we'll see it tomorrow night. Where I got like this like dumbfounded look on my face, like no, you know what I mean? And then the next thing you know, hey, the flag is on the ground. Let's keep playing.
It's all good now.
Let's keep playing.
And then, Jonathan, you guys have the complete opposite of that, right? Like the elation of thinking you just won the national championship for the second year in a row to wait. They get 4 more down?
You're talking I'll never forget. I turned around. I went in on blitz. I hit Craig Hensel, turn around, and I didn't even see the cornerback or the receiver. I just saw the ball on the ground. And then I started seeing the confetti. And so I get up, I throw my helmet, and I'm celebrating. I am now a 2-time defending back-to-back national champion. And I'll tell you what, the thing that always That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be. And what always struck me was when I was running to celebrate, I looked to you guys, actually. I looked to the left, to Ohio State sideline, and I was like, why are they still here? Like, go. I couldn't figure out, like, why are they still on the sideline? Like, go to the locker room. It's over. It's over. We won. And then just like how Mike Doss said, oh, hey, yeah, it's a flag. Hey, it's all good. That's how your whole sideline was. Your whole sideline. Take a look over there, right? And I'm like, yo, what's going on? And then, the ref comes and he's like, hey, you got to go get your helmet. And, we got a game. And I'm like, man, I can't go from this to now this and then think I'm going to play again like that. You can't do that. You can't do that to a competitor. There's no way that we were going to win the game after that. You can't take someone's – it's like literally giving me $1 million and then saying, ha, psych, give it back. Give it back.
All right, well, guys, the game did ultimately come down, though, to a defensive stand for Ohio State. Guys, take me through the 4 chances Miami had at the end zone and how you guys kept them out of there.
Well, I think earlier in that series, Matt Wilhelm hit Dorsey and knocked him unconscious. Like the concussion protocol, he probably would have never even came back in the game if they had it back, back then. But for us, in that situation, we were like, we got the lead. It's 4 downs. They're gonna give us their best shot. Let's let it work it. And they came out, tried to run the ball. Then I think on 3rd down, they tried to throw it to Andre with a gamble on them. And we was like, nope. And then here it comes. It's 4th down. And it's 4th, from the 2-yard line. And they line up, and we call tight hawk tosser. Will tosser, tight hawk, Will tosser. And our Will linebackers coming off the edge. And he was actually supposed to, when he blitzed, he was supposed to, like, guard the running back if he flared across his face. If Vilma I think Peyton, he stepped inside. So when he stepped inside, that gave our Will backer a free go to the quarterback. And ultimately that sealed the game. C. Grant, gets the sack, incomplete pass. And the Ohio State is national champions for the first time in 34 years.
I think I got a picture somewhere around here of that play.
Get off this. I'm off this.
So, hold on. Hold on. I think that's the play. That's the Will tosser. There's Dorsey. There's C. Grant. There's myself, and the game is that's the final play.
Hey, are we gonna edit this out? Are we gonna edit
this out? Hopefully.
No.
I mean, like, what are we doing right now? Kenny, what are we doing? You need to be more of a professional.
Got no class, John. Don't worry about it.
No class.
Vilma, what do you remember? What do you remember, Vilma, about walking off the field after that?
Man, I remember it finally. I still didn't believe we lost until it finally hit me when the confetti comes down for the 2nd time, and I'm watching their players, getting onto the podium, and you hear, who I can't remember who it was, calling Jim Tressel to get to the podium, right? So that's when I realized
Lynn Swan. It was Lynn Swan.
So that's when I realized, this is really over. And then, I walk off, I'm boo-hoo crying in tears, and that was really the first time in a long time that a loss sunk in. Like, I frankly hadn't lost since high school, because the last loss we had, me and Willis had, was our freshman year up at Washington. And, I didn't play, so I feel bad that we lost, but it wasn't like, you put the whole heart and soul into it,
Right.
It was like
I didn't contribute. Yeah,
so, that was the first time since high school that I really, that was a loss.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's something they can't take away from us. We've had the best college football team ever graced college football.
Oh, that's a fact. That 100%
ever. And they cannot take it away from us.
100%. And you know how you know it's true? Kenny and Mike are not saying
quiet.
I appreciate y'all giving us that respect.
Listen.
Hey.
Did we get robbed in 2002? Yes, we did.
Absolutely.
No.
Yes. You're absolutely right, John.
Absolutely. Good.
No. Listen. Here's what it boils down to. What it boils down to is y'all had a plan. Everybody got a plan until you get punched in the face. Y'all got punched in the face because I'm gonna tell you. And listen, we're gonna go back to the first quarter when we lined up, and I remember distinctly when Will got that pressure and I came off the edge or came inside and got the sack. The look on your offensive lineman's face was like,
I'm not gonna even let you talk bad about offensive linemen like that. That is a lie.
There you go. Defend them, Willis. Defend them, Willis. Defend them.
You're not even gonna go that route. I understand you're gonna put your extra emphasis on it, but don't talk the look on their faces now.
Willis,
Come on now.
Listen, I give y'all all credit, bro. Real talk, all credit. But y'all was in for a game. Y'all knew it.
Say that. Don't say the face they made when such and such. You get me? Say this in for a game. Don't talk like that.
I mean,
listen.
The 2001.
Smith was here. I wish Will Smith was still here because he would tell you. I'm telling you, the look on that offensive line face, bruh.
Still, look, there's no denying that was one of the all-time great college football games, all-time great national championship games. I'm curious now for each of you guys, like obviously that call in overtime changed the way everybody views that game. Mm-hmm. As you go about your day-to-day and as you guys played in the league and the trash talking that goes on when you see, a guy you played against and how that game played out, like when you think about that game and when you guys look at your rings, Kenny and Mike, how much do you think about that call?
I don't think about it at all.
Which call were you talking about?
I just grab my defensive MVP trophy and be like, it's all good. We get like I don't think about that call at all. I think we were a 14-point underdog. We should have never been in the game. They were the greatest team in 2001. And at the end of the day, we were supposed to be there. We weren't even supposed to be there. So it's kind of weird. I love Bill.
Long as you know y'all weren't supposed to be in that run.
But like you said, I love your point of view. 2001, y'all was the greatest team ever. But in the sense, the disrespect of the last 20 years of our game against you guys, like they rank all the national champions of the last 20 years. They got your 01 team number one, and then they got our 02 team as last. But we beat the team that was the last greatest team on a 34-game win streak. We beat you guys at double overtime.
Like, they know you guys cheated. They know you
How cheated. How we don't get no respect, Willis?
They know you cheated. Why would y'all be number one? Why would y'all be in the top five and they know the referees cheated?
I didn't say we got to be in the top five. I don't say we got to be the top five. But over the last 20 years, we shouldn't be last. That's what I'm saying. We shouldn't be last. I ain't saying we top five, but in the sense of beating the greatest team up to that point, 34-game win streak, everything that you're saying, how we don't get no respect.
At least you guys made it. At least you guys made the list. What are you talking about?
Oh man, he giving us confidence.
Come on, man. He giving.
All right. Well, if you want to know how much that call still eats away at Miami Hurricane fans, Vilma, can we show them the shirt real quick?
Oh, yeah. This is a shirt made by actually my linebacker brother DJ Williams. His clothing line Dime Life, and you see right here. This is the '83 title right there. This is the '87. Title right there. There's 89 title right there. There's a 91 title, and then this is 2001, greatest team ever. And then this right here is a tribute to another Terry Porter. That man, none other, the great Terry Porter, throwing the flag and robbing us.
Come on, man. Come on.
So you see it right there. That's what this shirt is. You know what?
Come on, man.
Mike and Kenny have been so awesome with their time today. I am going to send you this for free. You can
there you go.
Whatever you want, feel free to wear.
Listen. I've shared locker rooms with DJ Williams, and we've been at this for years. Listen, great team, but at the end of the day, and just like Willis said, listen, what God has for you is already yours. Can't no man take it. Regardless of the outcome in that game, we were destined to win that game. And no flag. Listen, if you guys were that much better than us, we shouldn't even been in the game. it should have been a complete blowout.
I'll give you that.
But at the end of the day, listen, there's a W and there's an L. Which one you got?
Hey.
So you just can't get a conversation like that. It's just not cool, bro. Before, I had a little respect for you guys. Now I don't have any respect for you.
Oh, man. This has been really fun, guys. Before I let you go, I want to go around and just in one word, what comes to mind when you think about this game and the emotions? One word or one sentence. I'm going to go around.
Pain.
Kenny, starting with you. What's that, Jonathan?
Pain. Suffering.
Willis?
Pain. Suffering. Oh, my God.
Cheaters.
Kenny?
Victory.
Mike?
Team. You know what I mean? It was a team thing. And that 2002 team, I came back from my senior year. I could have left early, and I decided to stay to have a chance for a national championship and to get it done. You know, it was a lot of fun. My teammates, I know it's all these guys here. We all represent our universities and our teammates. But that 4 years at that university, or 3, you know, in Willis State, that experience of life, you know what I mean? Nothing compares to that. You know what I mean? Just to be with your 18 to 22 at the oldest years old, a group with the same mindset and focus. It's hard to imagine how you pull that together as coaches, make that work, and to see those two teams be as successful as they were from the 01 into that 02 for our team. And then, you know, obviously we got the victory, but that I'll never, you know, give that up just from remembering those experiences.
Well, guys, I have to tell you, without a doubt, the 2003 BCS National Championship game, one of the all-time games in college football. And I was a fan in the stands that night, wearing my Miami t-shirt and in tears afterwards, getting heckled by all the Ohio State fans. If someone would have told me 17 years later I'd be able to host a Zoom call with 4 guys who poured their heart and soul out on the field that night, it would have lifted my spirits quite a bit in a time that I needed them. So this has been absolutely awesome. The game was epic. Thank you guys for your contributions on the field that day. I look forward, I guess, to watching that game on ESPN for the Throwback Thursday, but I know it's a tough one for Hurricane fans. Pour yourself something strong as we go down memory lane and watch that game again. And this has just been absolutely awesome. Thanks for the insight. Thanks for the trash talk. Thanks for the honesty. I still say no PI.
Come on, man.
As long as you know.
Terrible.
So this was so fun.